Hey, you knew this subject's going to come out. It's about the Canadian Death Race. Leg 4. Pulls or no pulls? Let's go find out. I am on the last day of the second week of training. One more week to go, and this is the long run. Nice and easy. I keep having to tell me it's supposed to be at race pace, so slower. But anyway, the big changes for this week, I did up my mileage and my time, but I did change two of the training days. One is the tempo run, so that one's run at 90% of my max heart rate, and I've actually upped the distance to about 9 kilometers. That's paying big dividends. You can feel it when I'm running the other training runs. And then the other one is the second run of my week would be a fun run, and I've changed it to a hill run, and I'm using the hills I'll show you today in the how to train for leg 4 of the CDR. So it's 10 kilometers of undulating roads and whatnot, and because roads are built for cars, they have a longer hill, and it works well for training for running up and down hills for fatigue and wrecking those quads and those glutes. So those are the two big changes, about 55 kilometers and about 7 hours of run time. Going to make it a little bit longer for next week. But let's go talk about the crazy things I'm doing for training for leg 4 of the Canadian Death Race. He was carrying rocks? Yeah. I'll explain some more. So how do you train for leg 4 of the death race? Well, what are the characteristics? Up, down. The first part is 2 points about the up. One, you need to run it maximum aerobic efficiency without burning it up, because it's so easy to over hike, overpower, and pretty soon you realize you're redlining it. You know what I mean? Your heart rate's way higher than it should be. And the other one is you have to run it or hike it with poles. So your training is going to be run like that crazy guy you just saw, running with a couple rocks in your hand, power hiking up. So why? Because you want to build up these triceps over here, because when you start actually into the race, you're getting about 5 pounds of thrust per pole as you push it in the ground. If you haven't been working on these, they'll be working on you in about 15 minutes. Your arms will be done, and you'll have to call it and put the poles back away. So how do you do that for training? Well, you can do some dumbbells and tricep pulls and curls and stuff. And when you're out on the trail and you got a nice long hike in front of you, grab a couple rocks. Like, it's not hard to find rocks, especially here in the West Coast. Put them in your hand, right? And now I'm gonna hike as if that was my pole. What's the point? Why don't I just use poles? No, I ain't gonna use poles until I get to the CDR. It's like continuously running with a weight vest, my weight vest, and then when you get to the race, you'll lose the 20 pounds just before you get there. You take your weight vest off. In this case, you're going to pull the poles out and you're going to use them. You want the calves to be stressed. You want them to build up. If you're going to use poles in your training, use them sporadically just to get your rhythm. Then do some tricep work. And then when you get there, no problem. And that's uphill. I'm not running downhill with a pole. No, that's a whole deal. I'm going to do a whole video on up and down hills running them. But for training, you better train with your poles. And that aerobic function, that aerobic run that you do, at least I do, I'm not allowed to go past 131 beats heart rate. So on the uphill, when I was doing Hamel in 2017, I kept looking, and that's one of the only time I like to wear a watch, is I can see my heart rate, and I could see that I was down at 126. Well, I pushed to get it up to closer to 130. When everything was saying no, I pushed to get it up to maximum aerobic because I wasn't going to waste anything there. I'm not going to sit back in my laurels. So I've got my form right. I've got my aerobic function. I'm breathing well. So practice that on your uphills. Practice the rock hauling on your uphills. And it will come to pay dividends doing the uphill, Mount Hamel, and of course leg 2, which is always the argument. What's worse, leg 2 or leg 3 or 4? Yeah, they both have 1,600 meters. So how to practice downhill for the death race. Again, training is not the same as running the death race. So we want to run, pick a hill that's steep. Not as steep as you can get, but runnable. And then run it down. Nice speed. Okay. Do it again. Oh yeah, carry some rocks to the top. And then next time, let's pick up that speed yet. And you want to get into braking force. You want to feel the quad having to slow you down to maintain. And then just for fun, pick up the speed some more. You know when you meet the max, when your arms start flailing around, no longer going forward or backwards, they're going side to side and all over the place, just to try to keep you from doing a splat. So that's my suggestion for training on the death race, because you're not going to run it that way, but you're definitely training this way. So run down a nice steep hill, pick up the speed, pick up the speed, pick up the speed, and the longer the better. If you can get a really long one, 20, 30 minutes of down, awesome. And at the bottom, you should be feeling the lactic acid. And tomorrow's stairs are a little bit more difficult to go up. So enjoy the training. This is Hoedown. You might have seen it before, but you saw the lower part. So this is the upper part of Hoedown. And again, it's a nice little trail, just meanders through the woods here along a little bit of a ridge. Not very long. So let's go enjoy this little trail. So I broke down about a couple of weights, 2-pounders, and I wanted to make them feel like I was holding my poles. But one of the things you can do when you're running is you keep these guys going straight back and forth, right? So now you're not doing a mixed master, you're not trying to find a gear in a semi, you're going straight back. Then when you get to a hill, keep your form, keep standing, bring your arms back, and what you want to do is swing, keeping your shoulder locked, swinging at the elbow. And so now I'm going to be doing this up the hill. And that's going to get my tricep. Try it out. 2-pounder, go a little lighter maybe. And we'll see you out on the trails.